Friday, so I decided to go ahead and make a full video on my entire CB setup, including my antenna. So we'll start here. That right there is my radio room. We're in the backyard right now. That's where my antenna comes out, right here, into conduit. And then it runs into the ground. And I'll show you where it comes out the other side. Okay, here's the base of my antenna. As you can see, the doves love resting on the 4 grand radials, and they leave me lots of bird poop. But there's the bottom. There's the base. It tilts over by removing these 3 nuts right there. And it also cranks up with the handle there. Right now I've got it exactly 36 feet from the ground radials to the ground. So go ahead and go up and show you it. Okay, so there it is at 36 feet. And as you can see, I've got it quite a bit more. I can go up there. Probably go up another 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet without a problem. Now these aren't necessary. These little guy wires I put on there. I just put them on there because I'm kind of anal about everything, and yeah. But it is definitely a self-supporting tower. Now I could have went a lot higher with the pipe right there, but I decided not to. I decided that 2.5 feet was plenty. I didn't want to push it. So that's a penetrator SPT 500 high gain, now owned by MFJ. It's the newest version. This tower, in case anyone's wondering, this is a homemade tower. I did not build it. Someone else did, probably 20 plus years ago. They built it out of a gas pipe. And everything on it works. So this originally had a different hinge that someone built on there. But it was rusted solid and it wasn't usable. So that's my doing there. And it works pretty good. It's welded on there. Each of these studs, I believe they are 3 feet long. Actually, no, each one's 4 feet long. And I have each one bent as close to a 90 as I could get it. And they're all bent at different depths. For example, one might be 3 feet deep. You know, one might be 3.5. One might be 2 feet deep, and you know, one a 1.5 feet, whatever. And they're all bent at a 90, and they're all connected with rebar in the concrete. And this concrete is over 4 feet deep. So here's the winch here to crank it up. As you can see, somebody built that. There's the cable going up right there. And I ran a ground wire directly from the antenna base itself right here to the ground rod. And all this has continuity between the base of the antenna, even though the inside raises up and down. It's all been tested with a continuity meter. It all has continuity. So this is also grounded here to my ground rod. So double ground just in case. Okay, here it is from a little further distance back. There's the pulley right there. That allows it to telescope up and down. That's a new pulley I replaced there. All right, show you the inside. Oh, here, before I go on the inside, I don't know if you can read this, but this is LMR 400 Ultraflex. Probably can't read it, but you'll have to trust me. That's what it is. Okay, I've got a whole cabinet here full of CB radios and amplifiers and all kinds of other stuff. But today we'll just be focusing on what I run here in my cabinet. This here's a old computer cabinet from like 10 plus years ago, maybe even 15 years ago. And it was still in real good condition. I wasn't going to use it anymore, but I figured I'd put my CB stuff in here. So there's my two external speakers, one for each radio. These are the radios that I like to run. I run a Comptune Cobra 29. This here's my AM big mouth radio. It's got variable RF power. It has echo. Has a preamp built into the radio. And I can turn that dead key with the RF power all the way down to 1/8 of a watt. If I don't keep it quite that low. I think I run it about 3/4, 1 watt or so into my amp. But this thing here will swing up to 60 watts. I had Nate Hopper built do this radio for me, and I think he did a fine job on the radio. No complaints. I've been running it for at least a year, and it works real well. Now the Striker 955 HP here, of course you can run this on AM, FM, lower side, upper side, whatever you want. But I prefer to use this as a sideband radio. It is super, super clean on sideband. As you can see, that clarifier straight up and down. I don't ever move it. It's a rock solid radio. And for sideband, in my opinion, this here is the radio. Right now I have it on AM, just monitoring channel 6 in case something starts happening out there. Here's my meter I use, MFJ 870. I will be upgrading this in the future. I'd say it's a very accurate meter at lower power. The SWR is accurate. It's a good budget meter. Measures reverse power, both PEP and average. 30, 300, 3000 watt scale. My only problem with it is it doesn't read high power accurately. I know my setup does right at 2100 watts peak, and this meter doesn't read that. I've had my amplifier on BBI's bench. I know exactly what it does. I've had it on my other buddy's bench, also with bird meters. I know exactly what it does. And I've had it here in this configuration with multiple other meters, and I know exactly what it does. This meter is extremely stingy at high power. But other than, it gives you a measurement to let you know it's working. Here's just a little box I threw together. Not using the auxiliary yet. That's just an open switch in case I decide to use it. That just turns the little display on and off right there. And this here's the LEDs I put up here. So it gives it that green glow at nighttime. And that there is the voltage that the radio is getting. There's a little discrepancy, it's not exactly the same on every meter. That one there says 14.14. My 150 amp power supply down there, that's dedicated to nothing but the radios. It's overkill, but I use it. That one says 13.9, and the Striker says 14.4. If I put a voltmeter on the power supply, that's the voltage I get right there. So, go figure. You know, it is what it is. Here's my power supply. Of course, it came from Nate Hopperville. I did have quite a few issues with this power supply when I first got it from him. The biggest problem being that it only had one fan in the rear of the power supply. It didn't have any fans on the top. This was a 100% sealed closed box. It had one fan that size right there on the back middle of the cabinet, and it was blowing air inward. So the air had nowhere to exit, and that was a huge problem. I think Nate's a good guy. I think he is capable of building a good product. For whatever reason, when he built this, I don't know if he was in a hurry or he was missing parts. I don't know. But kind of got the short end of the stick on this. But after talking to him for a couple months, he did finally send me out 2 fans, 2 grill guards, a new breaker, because the breaker was bad right out of the box when I got it. And he did send me 2 new switching modules for the inside, because 2 of them weren't working to their potential and they were smoking and just not working. I don't know what happened with this. I don't know if it was in shipping, because when it arrived it was in perfect condition, you know, as far as appearance wise, and it was packed well. So it left a bad taste in my mouth with Nate, but I got it working now. And also the variable right out of the box, the variable was whacked too. So got a new variable in it, a new breaker. I went ahead and drilled the holes with the fan, with the hole saw, put the fans in. I put the new 2 modules in it, and it's up and running well now. No problems at all. I've had this on BBI's bench. Matter of fact, he put the new variable in for me, and you know, it's working well now. I'll go ahead and turn it on so you can see it. That's where I run it. I run it at 15.9 volts because under load on AM, that will drop to about 14.6 to 14.8, I think. We'll go ahead and try it out. It does drop, so that's where I run it. Of course, it's a regulated power supply, but you know, you can kind of think of it as the unregulated supplies where they float a little high, and when you put a load on it, they drop. So that's that. Now this here's my amplifier. It's in a large case. It's a 2 driving 8. HG 2879s. I had Nate Hopperville build this, and I had him bias it, so it's full-time bias, so it would be clean on sideband. You know, I wanted a clean box. He put 4 fans in it. He built it in a big case. It's got plenty of heat sink under it. It's got 1/0 wire on the back with 150 or 200 amp or something. It's got a great big Anderson connector on it, which goes right to the power supply. The amp was built clean. The inside was clean. There's a couple issues with it I didn't necessarily like. One being, as soon as the amp was plugged into power, even if all the switches were off, the 4 fans ran non-stop. So that was one thing. The other thing was it worked. Don't get me wrong, it worked. But it seemed to struggle. It seemed to really put a load on this power supply, a lot more than it should have. And also the biasing circuit that he used, He didn't use the standard circuit like a lot of builders use, like BBI uses with the sand blocks. He used a totally different design with a couple of, I guess they're, I guess they would be transistors. They look like MOSFETs, the little black things with the 3 legs on them. Basically, he had 2 of those back in the corner, and you know that's how it was. That's how he did the biasing on it. It just seemed like it struggled. Anyways, it worked. I talked on it for a good 8 months or so, and one day we just let the smoke out. It took all eight pills right out, burned all 8 transistors right out. So some research, and you know, I found out there's some issues with that biasing circuit, and that's been a problem. I guess it's the input combiner or something. You know, don't quote me on this. I'm just going off what I can remember. But anyway, it takes all your damn pills out. So the driver section was fine, but it took out the 8, you know, primary pills. So this was on BBI's bench. There's a sticker there. He went ahead and repilled it, tested everything, changed the biasing over to the sandbar design. You know, changed the circuitry on it. Upgraded all the resistors in there to larger resistors. Basically, whatever it needed, he did. And then he was able to put a couple extra little relays in there and make it so the fans don't run on it until you power it up. Now you would think you could just take the hot lead and put it right to the switch, and you could, but it would only work on the 2-pill section or the 8-pill section for the fan. So the way BBI did it, it works on either, and I'll show you. Here's a 2-pill section. Turns all the fans on. Here's the 8-pill section, turns all the fans on. Or there's the 2x8. And of course, this is sideband here. Sideband for your 2-pill, sideband for your 8-pill. So, ever since BBI redid this for me, it's been working great, and it's not, it sounds strange, it's able to pull more amperage, but it's not working this power supply so hard, if that makes any sense. Like I say, I'm not trying to bash Nate. I've seen Nate's new designs, and he is using the soundbar design and the same circuitry that BBI is using now, so I don't think we'll have any more trouble out of that. And I don't know what to think about the power supply. Like I said, this really left a bad taste in my mouth. But his radio's working well. I've had no trouble with the radio. Here's my little switcher box here. Switch it one way, works the Cobra, the other way the Striker. The box is before the amplifier, so no high power is going through it. And I do have my LMR 400 running all the way from the antenna, one length, all the way in the house to the back of the meter. And then all of my jumpers are, they are LMR 240, and they have the Amphenol, I think I'm saying it right, connector solder on the end of them. And whether it's right or not, I don't know about the antenna length. I'm sorry, the coax length. I started with a 100-foot piece of coax, the LMR 400 Ultraflex. And after speaking with several people, and finally speaking with Motormouth Mall, he advised that I should go ahead and do the calculation for the velocity factor and everything else, figure out what it is and cut it to one of those lengths. So I did cut it down. I forget exactly what length I cut it to, but it's just what I need, and it was the correct velocity factor. So I know there's a huge debate on whether that makes a difference or not, and I don't know if it does or not, but I did it just because, you know, he was nice enough to talk to me on the phone and explain things to me. And whether it's correct or not, I've heard him on the radio, and that guy's got one hell of a station. So that's good enough for me. I picked up a bunch of these little Sony, little Dream Machine AM/FM radio clocks here. When I lived in Las Vegas, I picked them up at a Goodwill for like $3 a piece. I got like 4 or 5 of them. And what's neat about them is they have a external air temperature probe. You can see right there, 73 degrees. And I have the probe running into the heatsink of the amplifier. So that's pretty cool. I can keep an eye on that. So that's what I'm running here. And behind the power supply, I have this entire area cut out so air can go through the back. 2 fans are blowing air in, and the existing fan that was in the back turned it around, so it's exhausting it out. So all the hot air goes out the back of the cabinet. Same thing with the amplifier. The entire section right there is cut out behind the cabinet, and of course the 4 fans suck it in, blows out the back. So everything's blowing out the back. There's not a bunch of hot air circulating in there. And I have the cabinet, you know, a good 6 inches off the wall, so there's no trouble there. Let me show you what my dead key is real quick with just the radio. Stand by. Okay, so we have the Cobra 29 on. I have my meter to the 30-watt scale, which is the very bottom scale there. And here's the dead key that I'm putting in to my amplifier. There's 0 watts. The first little hash right there is 1 watt. So I'm putting roughly 3/4 of a watt into the 2-pill driver section on this. And then that 2-pill driver section drives the 8-pill, and that gives me my 2,000 to 2,100 watts out. A lot of folks online ask me, what's the reason for such a low dead key? It's incorrect, they say. You should run a full 4 watts into your amplifier. It doesn't hurt anything. Well, maybe if you have a high drive amplifier, or you know something that me and the other guys out there don't know, more power to you. But this is where this one's happy, and the reason I have it at the 3/4, here, I'll show you. Let me go ahead and turn the power supply on. We'll just turn the 2-pill section on right there. Put this in the 300 watt position. Now remember, this isn't on a dummy load. This is over the air right now. So that's on the 300 watt scale. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. So that's about 220-ish watts or so. I have the mic gain at halfway. I can probably turn it up all the way and, you know, get it dirty, maybe get some more power. Let's see. Hello, audio. A little bit, but I don't need to go that dirty. I can leave it straight up and down there. I have clean audio. Hello, audio. So between 200 and 220 probably. Now, This meter is extremely stingy, and it doesn't show correct power. So it's probably putting out more than that. It's probably putting out closer to 250, 275 out of that 2-pole section. I go ahead and turn the 8-pole on. And like I said, this is not what this amplifier is really doing. Go ahead and put it on the 3000 watt scale. And I'm going to dead key it. Just shy of 200 watts. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. So that right there is showing 12, 14, 16. That's showing 1600. Like I say, in reality, it's 2000, 2100. This meter is stingy as can be. But it lets me know things are working. So the reason I have it at 3/4 of a watt dead key. Now I can turn that dead key up and I can get a little more power out of it. But by doing that, this number here is going to climb. And I'm going to compromise my amplifier. The way I have it set up here, I can talk on it all day long. Hello, hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, audio, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.